Good morning, Tallahassee. It's time to Wake Up Warchant on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Wake Up Warchant is brought to you by TNT Supercenter, 14585 U.S. Highway 19, Thomasville, Georgia. Here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi and Corey Clark.
Welcome on into the program. Friday edition of Wake Up Warchant. I'm Aslan Hajavandi. Thanks so much for being here alongside Corey S. Clark, senior writer and columnist for Warchant.com. This program brought to you by For the Table Hospitality and the three great locations over in the College Town District, Madison Social, Township, and Central. Corey, we're back, man. I missed you again. How are you?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. It's glad to be back. I know it was painful for everyone to have to endure you and Ira.
Whoa,
so it's nice, and it's back to the dream team, the originals.
Yeah, man, that's how it goes. You were sorely missed over in Panama City. Pretty much everybody that came up was like, "Where's Corey? Where's Corey? I miss. Oh, Aslan's here. Corey's not here. Where's Corey?" I'm like, "Sorry, Corey's not here."
Well, hey, man, get used to it, buddy. I mean, that's just how it's going to be. That's fine. There's a lot of room in my shadow, and it's comfortable in there.
So,
that's what Ira said too. He said people did ask if I was there, or seemed upset that I wasn't there, which is always nice and flattering. But they live their lives. I don't think they really care. They just want to see the bald head.
Yeah, they also wanted to congratulate you on a well-written story about Jeremy Pruitt and his sort of
nonsense.
Yeah, I guess you could say his curmudgeon views of fans having to come and pay him something in addition to his $5 million contract. So, yeah, we're back.
Yeah,
it's good to be here. So, the big talk of the day, obviously, Florida State going to host Miami this weekend in baseball. 3-game set, which we'll get to. But first off, the draft, obviously. Let's talk about that 2018 draft. Baker Mayfield goes first overall to the Browns. That was a bit of a stunner. But ultimately, Derwin James goes in the first round. Where'd he go? 17th overall?
17 to the Chargers.
The Los Angeles Chargers. Don't say San Diego, the Los Angeles Chargers.
It always looks weird when they show them coming up, like when they show them about to get drafted, like the next 3 spots. It'll say like OAK for Oakland.
Correct. It'll
say BAL for Baltimore, and then it'll say LAC. And I'm like, why are the Clippers drafting in the NFL? It's still, I can't get used to the LA Chargers. I might not ever get used to it. My dad used to call the Arizona Cardinals the St. Louis Cardinals for like the last 15 years of his life.
Damn
so
right.
I feel like I'm going to be calling them the San Diego Chargers until I die.
Yeah, no, I subscribe to that belief. They're still the San Diego Chargers. Gosh darn it, can't change that sort of stuff. But he goes 17th overall. The Buccaneers were sitting there at 12. They traded down. Right, were they even higher than 12? The Bucs?
Yeah, they were at 7 originally, and they traded down to 12.
And everyone's like, "Oh, they're going to take Derwin at 7." They trade down, and they'll be fine. And then at 12, the Bucs take their pick, Vita Vea from Washington, and then Derwin keeps dropping steadily. Ultimately, I don't think it's going to cost him that much money. I don't have the chart in front of me in terms of the slotted pick salaries. I mean, I can pull it up while you give us your thoughts on him going to 17. Was that a bit of a drop that you weren't sort of anticipating?
Yeah, I don't know, man. And the NFL draft is so bizarre, where we take the opinions of the Mel Kipers and the Todd McShays and the whoever, name anybody else that you want to. Those are just the first 2 that come to mind. There's a really good one for NFL Network, and I'm blanking on his name right now, but he's Daniel Jeremiah.
Yes.
They do these mock drafts, and they say where they think they'll be drafted, and say they have Derwin at like 9 or 7 because he fits a need with the Bucs. Well, the Bucs traded down to 12, number 1. I think they might have taken they might have had Minka Fitzpatrick higher than Derwin James. There's certainly no shame in that. So there was only one safety drafted ahead of him, and it was Minka Fitzpatrick. And that was at 11. So when people say that somebody slipped or he dropped, it's like, well, did he really? Like, who said that who said that he was going to go in the top 10? And that implies that going 17 was some sort of disappointment, when really it's all about fitting a need and finding the best player that you think fits your scheme and all that. It always happens that people slip, quote unquote, when we don't know that they were ever thought of as a top 5 pick. Certainly, I never saw any quotes that Derwin James was a top 5 pick. I think most people assumed he'd go to Tampa Bay because they have a desperate need for a safety. They decided they would rather have a huge defensive tackle that'll play 25 plays a game at most, as opposed to a guy that, and I'm talking even Minka. They could have drafted Minka Fitzpatrick at 7, or they could have drafted Derwin at 12. One of those guys you have to imagine is going to be a really good player for a long time. They passed on both to draft a 340-pound defensive tackle who will play 20 snaps a game in the NFC South. And I can't imagine how much impact he's going to make. But, I mean, maybe he'll be great.
Wow,
I don't know.
man. Jeez, just burying this kid. This kid could be like Haloti Ngata. I mean, just because he's on the West Coast doesn't mean the kid's a bum.
No, he might be. But, I mean, they have, and I only know this because I watched too many Buccaneers games, they have a huge hole in their secondary.
They do.
They have the Connie guy. Hargraves, I know, was a corner, but they have a serious need in the secondary. They already have a really good defensive tackle. It hasn't mattered much. Matt Ryan, Drew Brees, they pick that defense apart. And I don't know that this guy that's only going to be able to play on running downs, most likely, is going to do anything to curtail that. But, I mean, maybe he will. I don't know. And I'm not saying they made a mistake, but I think that Derwin James went about, I mean, being the 17th player taken is a great accomplishment. I just think that people thought because Tampa Bay was drafting 7th and he's a Florida kid and there had been some talk back and forth and they do have a need that he was going to go there. So, okay, he went from being the 7th pick in the draft that most people thought would happen to being the 17th pick. It looks like he slipped. When in reality, I don't know that 1 through 16, other than Tampa Bay, even needed a defensive back. So did he slip or did he just go finally to a defense that needed a safety? I don't know. I don't know that he slipped.
I think the Niners.
It's a long. I didn't articulate that at all. You could tell I'm a little rusty because I didn't do it yesterday. So I apologize to all my fans. I'll do better in the next segment. I promise.
Trying to make me look better. Listen, I think the Niners could have used somebody in the secondary. They ended up taking a tackle that is not maybe even going to be able to play on the left side with Mike McGlinchey from Notre Dame. So that was a bizarre move. I mean, these guys put their names into the draft advisory board. They get feedback on things. And I don't know. I mean, you know, I've heard
But it's never that specific. It's never like you're going to be an 1 to 8. You're going to be an 8. You're not going to slip below 8. I mean, it's all about fits and who's drafting and whether a GM liked you or not. So Derwin, I'm sure, got a first-round grade, which was correct. But the difference between going 6th and 19th, a lot of it just has to do with situations and need. Right. So I don't, did Josh Rosen slip?
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know that he slipped or, those other 3 teams that drafted quarterbacks just didn't like him as much.
Did Lamar Jackson slip? Isn't that not slipping though? I mean, I get what you're saying. If you don't have a need. Was
he projected number 1?
Rosen, no. But I mean, I think there's some analysts that would argue that he was the most pro-ready quarterback, and then he goes 4th out of that quarterback class.
Right, and I agree. But again, those are analysts. Those aren't the people that make the decisions. The people that make the decision never said Derwin James was going to be a top 5 pick or a top 10 pick. But nobody was on the record of saying that.
But these analysts look at tape, and they're also talking to front office types, scouts, and people that are involved in the process, and they have a sort of a good idea of where these guys are valued. And then I think Kuiper puts them based on what their ability is. Just he ranks them 1 to 32. He's got his big board in terms of this is the best guy, 1 to 32. And I think McShay actually kind of looks at it more like, all right, this is what this team needs and this is where this guy can fit. So he kind of starts slotting people in where he could see them go in terms of the fit and need. Now, to your point, I don't know how many teams on that board needed a defensive back desperately to where they would take him. I mean, the Browns took a cornerback in Denzel Ward. I don't think Derwin projects to playing cornerback. If anything, safety and then maybe linebacker. But I mean, it's kind of you see 3 guys or 2 guys go ahead of you. I don't know that's got to sting a little bit. And to your point, that he didn't participate. Well, not to your point, but in terms of the dollars, we'll get to that first. Now, if he would have gone, let's say, to the Bucs at 7, right? Josh Allen went 7th overall. SportTrack.com has his signing bonus, which this is guaranteed money, at $13.4 million at 7. Derwin James at 17, $7 million. Guaranteed. I mean, that's nearly 50% you're getting less than. And I don't, Derwin turned down a private workout with the Buccaneers, and everybody said, good for him. He shouldn't have to work out for the Bucs because if he gets hurt, that might even, that'll affect his stock. I mean, they flashed his career stats for Derwin James, I know he missed an entire season, and you're going to call me crazy, and maybe that's why the show works sometimes, because nobody likes what I say, and most people like what you have to say. If you come back,
sure.
If you come back and you play another rock-solid season, and I don't even know if you've ever played a rock-solid season. No?
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No. Keep going.
He doesn't go higher. He doesn't come out and play his balls off in 18, and he's not a lock solid top 5 pick and is going to basically slot him into making nearly $20 million guaranteed as opposed to $7. The $13 million is not worth it at all. Potentially.
Well, look, number one, that's hypothetical. We don't know. He could have 6 interceptions next year and still not go in the top 10. I mean, maybe these teams just didn't value as one of the top 10 picks in the draft. Again, that might be what it is. I don't know that another year would have done him any good, but also the risk is if he gets hurt, if he blows out a knee, then he becomes the 46th pick in the draft. What's that difference? I mean, that's immense too. If he does things right, he just set up his grandkids for life with the decision to come out of school. If he does things right, gets the right financial guy, he's set for life, and his grandkids are set for life. Also, he's quicker to that second contract, which is where the real money is anyway.
This money's not bad, though. I mean, I'm looking at this stuff right here. Like, the total value of Baker Mayfield's deal is $32 million. His signing bonus is guaranteed at $21.8 million.
You think Derwin James had any chance of being the number one pick next year?
No. But this whole fallacy I think we're developing now is, just go ahead, get into the pros. Your first contract doesn't matter. Get to your second contract. Well, if you're worried about getting hurt, I'd be a little bit more concerned about my son getting hurt playing in the NFL for 3 years than another one season at the college level and then jeopardizing everything. I need some more.
But you're not jeopardizing. He's got $7 million in the bank.
And I think he probably is not going to go lower than 17 if he comes back next year and doesn't get hurt. But I guess you have to operate under the assumption that maybe you do get hurt and then your life is over.
Hey, man, that's why my man wasn't in the Shreve with us, because he didn't want to get hurt in a meaningless game. And so if he wasn't willing to do that, he certainly wasn't going to come back for a senior year. And look, when you go in the first round, when you get guaranteed millions of dollars and you play a position like Derwin James and you play like Derwin James plays, man, I don't know how it would be really hard to reconcile that in your brain. Like, okay, let me go back and hope that this new defense that I don't know will put me in a better position to make more plays, where instead of going 17th, I could go 9th or 6th.
I mean, Charles Kelly's Dick LeBeau reincarnated.
That's an extra, yeah, exactly right. So that's an extra few $1 million, which is nothing to sneeze at. But again, the risk of not having any money in the bank, to me, far outweighs the risk of losing millions of dollars because you could have gone 12th instead of 17th. And again, Derwin James thinks he's going to be an All-Pro and a Hall of Famer. So he thinks in 4 years he's going to be signing a deal for worth $55 billion. So he wants to go ahead and get there as quick as possible.
Listen, you're right ultimately. I mean, you're right ultimately.
You'd go. You'd go.
It's just, I mean, at what point it's like you're being sour or you're being selfish or, listen, this kid doesn't make any money. He's playing, breaking his neck for a university that's making millions of dollars with his likeness and the NCAA, blah, blah, blah. I just don't know, at what point can we rationally discuss, like, you know what, maybe the kid should have stayed. He probably could have helped himself out. Now, ultimately, again, he's going 17th overall, first-round pick. He's going to be expected to be a starter day one and make an impact for a team that's got some weapons, at least offensively, obviously, with Phillip Rivers still being the quarterback there. So, I mean, best of luck.
And let me say this. But
you have insurance plans, too, though. That's the one thing I did want to say. These guys can get insurance plans, and the university helps defray the cost of these things. So if they do get hurt, now, ultimately, you're not going to make as much money off your insurance policy as you will, this fantastic second contract carrot that's dangling in front of your face. But, I mean, your first-round pick, you have to go. I don't think there's any coach in the country is going to tell you to stay. But as a fan, maybe I'm selfishly hoping that he would have.
But you see this a lot in the NBA, too, where a guy like, Dwayne Bacon would have been like, or anyone say, man, if he'd have just come back for his junior year and had another good year, he might have been a top 20 pick. When the reality is, man, he is what he is. Like, I don't know that Derwin James could put anything else on film that would get him any higher than where he is. Quarterbacks are always going to go first. Safeties aren't really a premium. I think Minkah Fitzpatrick was maybe the best player I saw all season, him and Chubb. and Minka Fitzpatrick went 11th. It wasn't like he made a ton more money than Derwin. I mean, he was the second safety taken.
Minka's
so there's not really much higher he could have gone. There's not much more he could have done. I think your point. I think first rounders. It's unfair to and I know I know you're being a contrarian a little bit. I think it's unfair to expect guys that are guaranteed first rounders to stay. It just doesn't make any sense to me because that's literally millions of dollars. But a guy like Josh Sweat, imagine if he'd have come back and played with that kind of athleticism without the knee brace and showed off that kind of athleticism. Well, this time next year, he might have been seeing his name called in the first 20 picks. Maybe. If he's as athletic and as explosive as he showed at the combine without the knee brace, maybe he could have had an unbelievable season as a senior and made a ton more money than he's going to end up making. That to me is the risk. Like, he could have come back and made himself millions of dollars potentially. Derwin James, I think, man, he's already a millionaire. He did okay.
Minka Fitzpatrick is guaranteed to make $3 million more than Derwin James. Which I don't.
Where do you get? Is that from last year's?
No, this is Sport Track is really good. They factor in the.
Oh, so they're already listed. Like I know they're slotted. Like
yeah,
there's nothing
slotted.
You can do.
Yeah, I mean these are projected contract numbers based on the cap and the CBA and what they're able to give in terms of a percentage raise of these guys from their slot from the year previous. So Minka Fitzpatrick at 11, his signing bonus, which is the guaranteed money, is $10 million, $42,000 on the side. Then Derwin's
and one more thing,
7.1.
We talk about that second contract. Well, look at like Timmy Jernigan. Right. He came out a year early. He was awesome in college. He was an incredible player, but he came out a year early and went in the second round. And many people might have thought, well, maybe he made a mistake. Maybe he should have come back and had a great senior year. Maybe been a first round pick. Well, my man just got to his second contract and signed a $40 million deal. That's the allure. And when you're a great football player, and Derwin James might be a great football player, that's the allure for these guys is that second contract. Because, again, that is huge money. And maybe Timmy Jernigan would have come back and made more initially. Like I think he was guaranteed like maybe 2.2 as a second-round pick. Maybe he gets drafted 20th and is guaranteed 5. So he cost himself 2.8, 2.9 million. But on the back end, he got to that second contract quicker, and now he's a multi-gazillionaire. I mean, a lot goes into it. You know what I mean? I mean, it really does. I just think somebody like Josh Sweat could have come back and could have really boosted his stock. Derwin James' stock really couldn't go much higher when he was the second safety off the board.
Let's talk baseball right after this.
Woo-hoo!
More Wake Up Warchant coming up, ESPN 979 Tallahassee.
The excitement of the Willie Taggart era at Florida State is in full force. That's why now's the perfect time to sign up at warchant.com. Warchant.com will have wall-to-wall coverage of spring football practice, including the latest on position battles, coach and player interviews, video features, and in-depth analysis. Warchant.com's 3-team writers Gene Williams, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark have 50 years of experience covering the Seminoles. And Warchant.com is the only FSU media outlet with a dedicated, full-time recruiting analyst in Tallahassee with the latest on the 2019 class. For your 30-day free trial subscription, head to warchant.com and use promo code WARCHANT30.
Wake up! I'm Aslan. He is Corey Clark. This is Wake Up Warchant brought to you by For the Table Hospitality. All right, Corey. So day 2 of the draft will be going on at 7 p.m. today. Is anybody coming off the board for Florida State?
I think somebody. Well, I don't know, man. I really don't. I think there'll be 4 or 5 on the final day. But yeah, I maybe Josh Sweat. Yeah. Maybe Sweat because of again, he's got to be appealing. He's got to be intriguing because he is a huge dude. People that haven't stood beside him, he is enormous. And then when you see that he ran a 4.5 something and jumped 40 inches, and you understand, okay, well, he was hurt, so we don't know. Maybe we didn't see the real Josh Sweat. I think that might be intriguing enough to take a flyer on him in the second round or early third, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I think so. He did not have the production or the career, in my opinion, to warrant a second round pick at Florida State. He just didn't. I mean, you think about the likes of.
Did Derwin James have the production to be a first round pick?
No, but he had the physical. If he had played 3 years, sure. I mean, he had 168 tackles in 2 seasons. That's pretty impressive. He led the team in tackles his freshman season and was second this year as a safety. That's pretty impressive.
But then Sweat
he didn't
the
have
team in
7
sacks.
picks, but you don't have guys making 7 or 8 interceptions anymore these days. But yeah, I think that Josh Sweat has a chance to really intrigue some of these front office people because of his makeup, because of his incredible athleticism for that size, and the fact that he has a legitimate excuse, perhaps in their eyes, as to why he didn't produce more at the college level because he wasn't himself.
Fair enough. All right, transitioning now to baseball.
By the way, but real quick, what'd you think of Baker Mayfield going first?
I can't believe it. I'm absolutely
it's crazy,
stunned.
man.
Stunned. It's we can't. It's we get back. It's crazy. I don't know what I am racially, right? I'm like ambiguous. I mean, I'm technically, according to the U.S. government, I'm white because I have origins in the Middle East, but there's probably a lot of folks who are white that are like, that Aslan guy ain't white, man. But you can't compare. If you compare a black guy to a black guy, it's like, man, that's a very lazy.
I feel like Josh Allen would tell you that.
Yeah, touche, right? It's like a lazy. It's like a lazy comparison, right? Like when if you find a black guy, then if you want to be the guy that is trying to compare Willie Taggart to like Randy Shannon, it's like, whoa, out of bounds, you're being a jerk. But then like
any white wide receiver,
right,
is compared to other white wide receivers,
exactly,
all the time.
But like we are not allowed to compare Baker Mayfield with Johnny Manziel. Like they're completely different guys. They're completely different, and Cleveland did the same thing back in 2015 when they took him. Or 14 when they took Manziel. Like they took Manziel and they also took a cornerback from a team that was like, whoa, right. what a reach. And then they go do the same thing this year. They take Denzel Ward 4th overall. And there's all sorts of talent still on the board and needs they have to get filled. Bizarre. Yeah, I don't think it's going to work out. I really don't think it's going to work out Baker Mayfield. I don't think it's because he's going to Cleveland. I just don't see it. I hope it does. I hope I'm wrong because I do like the kid. I just don't
like Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I like jerks, man. Haven't you learned that yet?
Well, that explains a lot, doesn't it, listeners?
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, I was gonna say I hate that kid. I think he's a great player. I was on pins and needles watching Georgia try to stop that dude. He was really good, and Georgia has a good defense, and he picked them apart. He was really good in college, but yeah, Manziel was really good in college. Heck, there's a million quarterbacks that are really good in college. We'll see. I think I'm with you in the sense that I want my quarterback to be that kind of like a cocky ass. Like I think that's actually a good trait for a quarterback to think that you're awesome.
Yeah, name me a
to
humble
think that you're the best
quarterback.
player, to be that kind of gunslinger. I think that's a good trait to have. I just don't know if he's good enough.
I know
who could know. I thought they should have drafted, and I tweeted this out. Now I was being mostly serious. I thought they should have drafted Mayfield at 1 and Rosen at 4. One of them will work out probably. It seems like it would increase your odds a little, and then just trade the other one. You need a quarterback. So why? And you're the Browns, man. You ain't going to be good for a while anyway. Make sure you get yourself a franchise quarterback. Draft 2 of them, and let them fight it out. And whoever wins, whoever plays well, heck, let one start 1 year and let one start the next year. See who's good, and then go from there. But you can't keep missing on quarterbacks because you've been a laughingstock for 2 decades. So, hey, you had a chance. Take 2 quarterbacks. Let them work it out.
Okay, let's talk about the Knowles, man. People are screaming at the screen. I can feel it.
No, they're not. Everybody likes Baker Mayfield. Like that Baker Mayfield talk.
Yeah. So 11, is he going to do the sweep, get the record here in Mike Martin Field at Hauser Stadium? Dick Hauser Stadium, sorry.
No, I don't think so.
All right, moving along, back to Baker Mayfield. So his mechanics.
Yeah, let's get back to what people care about. Yeah. Why would anybody think that?
I don't know.
I guess
Miami's down.
Miami's not very good. I think they have a losing record this season, which, again, people, think about that. I know you'd rather have the championships that Miami has than the 40 straight winning season, 40 straight 40-win seasons that Florida State had. But I think Miami's under 500 right now. And they've had years. I mean, they make the tournament every year. This might be one where they don't. I know they have the longest consecutive streak. I tell you what, that's something Florida State could really play for, because if Florida State sweeps Miami, not only does Martin get the record, but then there's a chance that really hurts Miami's NCAA tournament chances. And they're the only team that has a longer streak than Florida State. So then Florida State would have the longest in the country. So that's something to play for right there. But, think about Miami's had a few years like this when they've been like 31-24. 28-25. Like they've had a bunch of years like this in a row, it seems like, where they've just been okay. And again, it should kind of give you perspective of how rare it is. Miami is a great program with a ton of tradition and a good coach. And I know they got the championships, but even though they don't have the consistency that Florida State has had over the last 40 years, it's crazy. I know Florida again has a championship, and they have a better program right now than Florida State. 7 or 8 years ago, they had a losing season. It's just the consistency is incredible, and that's why the record, whenever it comes, should be, even if it's against Mount St. Mary's, should be celebrated. And we all know the caveat, we all know the asterisk, it's implied, we know it, but man, that's crazy to be that good for that long, because it isn't automatic. Miami, Arizona State, Florida, they've all had down years.
Southern Cal,
State
Southern Cal is like the most decorated baseball program, and by far, I feel like, and just in terms of like national championships. And man, I can't remember the last time they've been to Omaha. But right now, Miami's 17-23. I mean, they went to Clemson and took Clemson down, 2-1, and then lost their last series at home against Pittsburgh. I mean, they dropped 2 out of 3 to Pittsburgh. So yeah, it's bizarre.
I mean, they're not good. They're not good. So Florida State, I guess, theoretically could obviously sweep them, but Florida State could lose 2 of 3. I mean, that's this team. They don't pick up the ball well. Their pitching is very questionable. There's not a lot really to hang your hat on with this team. But again, think about that. Miami is 17-23. Florida State, even last year, was as close as they've come to something like that. And that was they had a ton of injuries. Yeah. They're always good. It's really crazy. I know it feels like a birthright to be good. The Florida State baseball is always going to be good because they have the tradition and all the same schools are good every year. Well, that's not true. Clemson fired their coach a few years ago. Yeah. Florida has fired coaches in the past, but not because. And I'm sure some people are saying, "Well, yeah, Florida State's allowed to do that too."
Did you see about Rice? Do you see Rice?
That's not going to happen.
Do you see Rice? Wayne Graham, who has led Rice to, I think, 21 out of the last 22 Conference USA either regular season titles or postseason titles, and actually led Rice to the College World Series championship in 02 or 03, literally won a championship for them, is turning 82, and right now this is their first losing season under him. They have the most consecutive winning seasons behind Florida State and Cal State Fullerton. They're not renewing his contract. And
I mean, my man's 82.
Well, I mean, but Mike Martin's at Potbelly's right now throwing down pitchers. Yeah, 82.
Mike Martin's only 74.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Not to show ageism. I think that might get me fired, right? That's like against the law or something like that, I think, ageism. But no,
you can show ageism. You didn't hire them. It's not you're not conducting hiring practices, right. So you can be as ageist as you want.
Well, and Rice is doing terrible right now. Florida State's not doing terrible. Rice is a losing season right now. Florida State. I mean, I'm sure Florida State right now was 13-21 or 17-26, whatever I just said Miami was. There might be a legitimate conversation right now, but I mean, when you're rolling and you're probably going to host a regional, you really can't, push a guy out, especially when he's on the precipice of setting a record that's never going to be broken ever.
Yeah. No, it's really neat, man. It's a neat accomplishment. There is there's a hole there, but it's a neat accomplishment, and I always use that for perspective because I know other schools have titles. I know South Carolina has them. Heck, Georgia had one in 90. All these other schools have titles, and I know that's frustrating, but all those schools also go through bad seasons, sometimes enough that the coach gets fired. It's just not feasible to be good every year. That's just not how sports works. It just doesn't happen. And for Florida State to be good for 40 straight years, and that's why he's close to 2,000 wins, is a remarkable achievement. And I hope it's celebrated the way it should be. And, quite frankly, I hope it does get done this weekend. That way I don't have to go to Clemson next weekend to see if he does it there.
Florida State hosting Miami on a 3-game set. Game 1 Friday tonight, 6 p.m. Saturday will be 6 p.m. Sunday, 1 p.m. Obviously, weather permitting. Drew Parrish will start tonight, Friday. C.J. Van Eyck will go Saturday, and then Andrew Karp will pitch on Sunday. They're hoping to possibly have Cole Sands available out of the bullpen on Sunday as well. When we come back,
I thought they were going to throw Sands on Sunday, like he was going to start, but he's just going to be out of the bullpen.
That's what the note said. Stephen McCartney, Sports Information Director, sent an updated email. I think maybe 11 might have had some stuff jumbled up during the actual presser, but McCartney sent out a email kind of clarifying that up. So,
I got you. Okay.
When we come back, it's your turn, everybody. Power to the people. Renegade Express will answer your questions, myself and Corey. It's Wake Up Warchant. We're coming right back after this.
You're locked in to Wake Up Warchant on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
It's time for you folks to sound off, make your voices be heard. It's the Renegade Express. It's part of the Friday edition of Wake Up Warchant. I'm Aslan. He's Corey Clark. Thanks for being here. The show brought to you by For the Table Hospitality. Before we get to the questions, this was kind of cool. So I tweeted out after Minkah Fitzpatrick got drafted last night. I'm like, show Auden Tate catching a touchdown over Minkah Fitzpatrick. 7-3 lead. Never forget. Auden Tate actually liked it. He liked the tweet.
Well, there you go, man. Yeah, that should be on. That'll definitely be on his highlight reel. He owned that kid.
It's on one of the walls inside the foyer or the entryway to the IPF, the indoor practice. So that little quasi lobby area they have. There's a photo of Florida State being up on Alabama. How you like that, Crimson Tide?
Yeah, man. You worried, Alabama? You scared? Oh well, never mind.
Oh, Calvin Ridley, he's open. Whoa. Oh.
Yeah, when Calvin Ridley got drafted by the Falcons, they did show his highlight against Florida State.
Yeah. All right, let's get right to the questions. All right, Maxwell Gibbs, there he is, man, right off the gate. Morning, gents. First one is for Aslan. Are there any establishments in Tally that you would frequent as a student that are no longer around? For me, it's AJ's and Coliseum both being gone. It's crazy to think that there are kids at FSU who won't get to experience a flippin' Tuesday on the top deck of AJ's or celebrating a big win on a Saturday night at Collie after a game. I guess they call it Coliseum. Well, Coliseum was actually Chubby's when I was here. That's how old I am. Yeah, I cannot believe AJ's is no longer. That was a crazy shock to the system. That place, I was sure I was going to die on the rooftop there on a spin the wheel Tuesday or whatever they had up there. But alas, I was able to survive. I can't believe it. I thought that place had pretty much a license to print money. That place was always slam jam packed. So that's pretty much of a bummer. Late Night Library. Now I really like Late Night Library.
I went there a good bit with Shanna, with my ex-wife. We'd go, and then I even went there when my sister was a student, and I was 19. Yeah, we went in there a few times.
Sweet. Oh, how was that having an older sister, man? Like, did you always hang out? Like, was always like, yeah, let's have a sleepover here tonight, and then it's kind of
all your friends.
Yeah.
She was a little too old. Like she's 5 years older.
Oh, okay, right. So they're out of your league.
So when I was like 13, she was essentially out of the house.
Gotcha.
So it didn't really manifest like I would like. Looking back, I would have hoped it would have.
Okay. Second off from Maxwell Gibbs.
When we only two of her friends.
Whoa, come on, be a gentleman.
I don't know about allowed to say that. That was a joke, by the way. I hope people wake up, people.
All right. Second from Maxwell Gibbs. When we get into the summer, when there's limited content, I'm offering up my services to come on the show and talk NBA playoffs and free agency for no appearance fee. I like that, Maxwell. Have your folks get a hold of my folks. We could do that.
We'll probably decline. But I mean, it's always good to reach out and see. We might need some filler one day.
Yeah, we have a phone number that I put out there the first few weeks and nobody used it. But we actually have a phone number where you guys and gals can call in and actually submit your question over the phone.
We do?
Yeah, and we'll play your audio of you asking us the question. I think it'd be so much cooler if we did that, but nobody bit. I might have to give my friends the number and then have them, have my friends do it first to kind of warm up the crowd.
The last Jimbo Fisher call-in show where the guy got escorted out.
Oh yeah.
Every call was like a complimentary call. I'm not almost positive. I am positive that the people that run it, either at IMG or FSU Sports Info, had plants that called in to ask those questions. Almost guaranteed. So that's what we should do. Is just get a few of our friends to call. Ask questions, some lighthearted, some serious, to let the people see how it works, And then, they'll be more inclined to leave a message.
All right, let's do that. We'll have some plans. Third off, why does ESPN keep trying to make Booger McFarland a personality on its main coverage? Keep that nose picker on the SEC network. They like Booger because Booger's a jock. He's well-spoken. He's African-American, and he's funny. He's got a good disposition. So, he's got a big personality. Yeah, and then so you put him alongside Mike Greenberg and, Michelle Beadle. It looks beautiful. It looks like America in 2018. We love it. All right, moving on. Grumpy BK, the bar club topic. Oh, I think it definitely has some legs. One of my favorites was Late Night Library. Shout out. AJ's definitely in the rotation. Los Compadres ran some killer specials once a week. I think Los Compadres is still around, though, if I'm not mistaken, right there off Pensacola. Next to where the Golds is, that Golds gym right there, like Ocala.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I don't know. I know the Publix on Pensacola.
Yeah, I gotta do some better screening because I think a lot of the questions in here are not questions. It's people that started talking about how much they miss Tallahassee and the bars they went to. Back to Birdman, a.k.a. Captain D_63. From your perspective regarding the FSU baseball team, we have made 45 errors so far this season. That was on Monday, so you can tack on another 5? Or
we're up to 50.
50? We've played 42 games now after the post of this now. So he said 41 games, and we're up to 42 now. I realize that a margin of over 1 error a game, but we have had games this year where we have made 3 to 6 in one. My question to you two is this the sloppiest defensive team we have had at Florida State? Who's coaching these guys in practice and why all the errors?
I don't know that. I have some theories. No, it's not the sloppiest. There have been the one last year was worse, quite frankly, than 2 years ago. They haven't been good for a while. They've been pretty remarkably bad for a while in the infield. Dylan Busby would routinely make an error a game. Taylor Walls wasn't anything special at short either defensively. They weren't good. They haven't been good for a while. I think, and this is just a theory, that when they're on the recruiting trail, because one of the main people that's doing recruiting is Mike Martin Jr., obviously, and he's good at it. They're the first priority, other than pitching. But when you're looking at a position player, the overriding priority is the bat. Can he hit? We'll find a spot for him. I'm not saying that's just a theory. I don't know. I don't have any firsthand knowledge. I would think, and I think that's probably true with most colleges. But for you got to have guys that can hit, and you got to have guys that can get on base. But man, maybe go find just the best high school shortstop in Florida. Even if he hits 180, well, that might be a little too much. Even if he hits 300 in high school, if he doesn't project as a great college hitter, man, get somebody that can really pick it and have him bat ninth, and you're going to teach him enough of the strike zone that he can have a 350 on base percentage. You remember Danny De La Calle, catcher from
Danny De La Calle.
He couldn't hit his weight. I think literally one year he slugged like his first year he slugged like under 300. Slug, not hit, slug.
Right.
But he was a terrific catcher behind the plate. That's what Meat wanted because it's really important to have a good defensive catcher. And they don't, and so maybe at like catcher, at shortstop, and at center field, which I think they have. I think J.C. Flowers is a good center fielder, but he's been out obviously. Make those guys more of a premium defensive position because I think Cooper Swanson's going to be a good player, but I don't know if he's a good defensive shortstop. And it just doesn't seem like maybe in recruiting that's a priority, or maybe there's got to be. It's either that or they don't teach it well. But my thought would be, man, some of these guys are as good defensively as they're going to get. They're just not very good.
Yeah, and both Martins are out there during practice coaching infield and that sort of stuff. So it's both the guys. Lastly, he asked, when 11 retires, why hire Junior as head coach when we have had teams that act like they've never played a game of baseball with all this sloppy defense? I'm a lifetime Knoll fan, just don't understand with all the sloppiness this year when most of these guys have been playing baseball since T-ball. Love the show. Have a great day if you want to. Go Knowles. We'll talk about that, wrap things up right after this. It's Wake Up Warchant, ESPN 97.9 Tallahassee.
You're locked in to Wake Up Warchant on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Welcome on back, folks. Wrapping things up on Wake Up Warchant. I'm Aslan. He is Corey. To the question that we left you on the cliffhanger with, why hire Mike Martin Jr.? Corey.
Well, my counter to that, and I get it, they're sloppy, but they're also they just went to the College World Series last year. Maybe they'll go this year. They really got. I think they would have been a favorite to go if they hadn't lost their ace. But again, you've won for 40 straight years, sloppy or not. And again, we don't watch college baseball, or we do watch college baseball in a vacuum where we think, golly, there can't be other teams that look like this. It's college baseball. It's not all that close to Major League Baseball that we're used to seeing. So, they're not a good fielding team, but they're not the worst in the country either. And they win games. They always find a way to win 40, 45 games. So if you have a staff set up or a program set up and a culture established that continually is a top 10, top 12, top 8 program that continually fights for spots in the College World Series, it's not like this thing has gone off a cliff like the football team did in the late 2000s.
There needs to be a national search. There has to be a national search. If ultimately they decide that Meat's the best guy, so be it. But he's been an active participant in a lot of trips to Omaha that have come up empty. So, I don't know, maybe he learned something by watching his dad that he won't do when he's the one calling the shots. But he's been in the dugout, too, and I'm sure 11 listens to his son.
But also that, and I agree with you, but that first part of the sentence, we can't overlook that. He's been an active participant in a lot of trips to Omaha. That's a big deal. That's good. That's like saying you've been an active participant in a lot of Final Fours. I mean, that's a good thing. The bad thing is what they do when they get out there, but he's been an active participant in getting them there.
Noel Dad,
so it's a good, you know what I'm saying? It's a negative and a positive.
Noel Dad 84 asks, Aslan Corey, what do you think will be the strength of this team this year? I'm thinking he's figuring football. Do you think the defense or offense will carry the other? I'm worried the offense doesn't get it going with several quick 3-and-outs. It's going to put a ton of pressure on the defense. Any idea how Taggart has mitigated this at Oregon or South Florida? Great show. Go Noles.
No idea, really. I don't think it was mitigated all that well. If they don't get first downs, they punt really quickly, and the defense gets tired. So I think the strength of the team will be, the running backs. I think you have as good a running back combination maybe as there is in the country, certainly top 5. And I think you're going to have a really good running game, even behind a lot offensive line that, to be polite, is suspect. I think you have a terrific backfield, and I think that's the strength.
Fast, physical, aggressive. That's what they want to be on defense. I'm hoping they'll pressure. Willie talked about, I think, touched on it 2 or 3 different times at Panama City the other day. It's going to be, he said, it's going to be tough for the other team to complete passes on us when their quarterback is on his back. So I feel like they're going to pressure the quarterback a lot. Brian Burns, you can do well, and you can go and be a high draft pick if you live up to the potential that people really kind of hoisted upon you. I think hopefully this team gets after the quarterback. I think defensively that'll be the strength. I think Burns and then maybe some good blitzes and things of that nature will be able to give this team some bite. And bite's always a good thing. Naples Knoll 88, or Naples Knoll rather, Naples Knoll 88. Which month do you set the over-under for the first Threads to fire a football coach? Now, I said a football coach, not necessarily Taggart, but it could be maybe the offense is sluggish. Maybe people want Walt Bell's pelt. I'll set
other
the
than
over
like a rational. I mean, I guess none of those would be rational. I would say November for the irrationals to be like, well, this isn't working. We have to get a new defensive coordinator.
Yeah, November. That's fine. I mean, November. I just get us to November, Willie, with us having some sort of 6-person domino effect that could get us into the playoff. That's all I want. I just want to be November and. Okay, if we win out or if we lose just this one game, but if Ohio State beats Michigan and if Oklahoma wins Bedlam and if, blah, 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 if all this happens, we can maybe sneak our way. That's all I want because we were stripped of that last year. We were stripped of that in 2016 as well and stripped of it in 2015 to an extent as well. So that's what I would hope for. Yeah, I don't know. The over-under November sounds good. I will take the under. We're crazy Florida State fans.
Yeah.
Star. FSU 91 says Late Night Library and Thirst in the pub. All right, cool. Honey Fried Pickens. Hey, guys, my question involves the Lizards and Sugar Canes. Which in-state rival will be the biggest threat to FSU over the next 5 years? Corey.
I mean, they're both threats, to be honest. I don't want to take
pick a side. Come on, man. Corey, it's Wake Up
Florida,
Warchant, man.
Probably Florida. Wake up, everyone. It's Florida. I think Florida's the bigger threat.
I think
Mark Richt's not going to be there. I mean, he's kind of old anyway. I don't think. I don't know how well he's going to build on that momentum from last year because it certainly fizzled at the end. And I just think that I think Mullen showed that he can build a program in the SEC. And if you can win pseudo consistently in Mississippi State, man, you should do okay at Florida.
I just
think they have more to offer than Miami.
I think recruiting-wise, Miami's going to be a bigger threat. I think on the field it's going to be Florida, just because Dan Mullen is such a son of a you-know-what when it comes to playing in rivalry games. What he did in Mississippi, at Mississippi State against Ole Miss, made that entire state just toxic and made a really nasty rivalry, just lawsuits and all sorts of just stuff that makes almost the Egg Bowl, or rather the Iron Bowl, look friendly. It's just, he's going to make, I've seen people say, I actually know Dan Mullen seems pretty good. I don't mind him. Yeah, just wait. You just wait until November and see how much you're going to think that guy's decent. West Duval.
Oh, all right.
West Duval Knoll says, since it's been confirmed P-Dub's number is being retired at the Virginia Tech game and the Twitter exchange between him and LeBron, do you think LeBron shows up for the game as a guest on the sideline? How much of an impact would something like that have on the recruiting class for 2019?
I mean, all of it has an impact. I mean, it might be negligible, but if somehow LeBron is on the sidelines at a Florida State game and a 17-year-old sees that, and I think I think what happened at the spring game would be more important than LeBron showing up. But I mean, I don't. It's hard to say if it would have what kind of impact it would have, but it certainly wouldn't hurt. And that would be awesome if LeBron came. I can't imagine he will. But that would be really cool to see LeBron come to a Florida State football game.
I'll put it at 30% LeBron shows up. It's Labor Day, so I don't think the NBA is going to be having anything going on. And why not come down if you're going to come for a game? Come on Labor Day. You got the day off.
Yeah, but it's so tough to get a flight. Yeah. And, he's probably got a hard time renting a private plane.
Right.
He's got to own his own plane, right?
Yeah, we got about 45 seconds left. The impact will be very marginal, but the kids who are there, that'll be pretty special. They'll probably walk away feeling really super cool if they see LeBron on the sidelines at a Florida State game.
Yeah, that'd be neat. That'd be really neat.
Probably more so than seeing Peter Warwick, because they don't know who Peter Warwick is. Sorry, everybody. That's just the truth. All right, Florida State guy, FSU guy, 1989 with his adorable daughter. Morning, guys. Which stat would you want Florida State to lead the nation in next year? He says turnover differential. You, Corey, what would you want Florida State to lead stats-wise? And you can't say wins. Don't be that guy.
Punt return average? No, I would say turnovers is a good one. I would say sacks would be a really good
I'll take
pretty
that.
much a really good way to see if they've had a good season is if they lead the nation in sacks.
I'll go with sacks too. I like that as well. Good pick out that, Corey. All right, that's a wrap for us. We're out of time. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. You want to say anything before we go away for the weekend, Corey?
Have a great weekend, people, and just know I'm thinking about you and I love you.
Darn pop-ups and video ads.
Are you wasting your time again on clickbait FSU updates that are bloated down with ads?
Yeah. And after crashing my computer, the information isn't even up to date. You're on warchant.com. What's really going on with the Seminoles?
For the real scoop, you'll need to get your own Warchant subscription.
What's it cost?
Free. There's a 30-day trial offer right now.
You know I like free. Sign me up.
Use the promo code WARCHANT30. That's WARCHANT30. Nobody has more accurate and timely information on the Noles than Warchant.com.
Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole source.